Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, we'll be looking at this crop top that has a band from the underbust to the waistline and pleated sleeves. So to cut it on the folded fabric, I have placed a horizontal line at the top edge of the fabric, and that's for the shoulder line. On that shoulder line, I am placing 3 inches for neck width and 3 inches for neck depth. I'll connect the neck width to the neck depth. On the shoulder line again, I am placing a half of my shoulder measurement, but because the sleeves are pleated, I'll reduce it with half inch. And then at that point, I am going down with 1 inch and I'll connect it to meet the neck width. And that's the shoulder slope. From my shoulder slope, I am going downwards with half of my shoulder measurement again, getting the midpoint of that. I'll connect the shoulder slope to meet the 8 inches, the half of my shoulder measurement downwards. And at that point, I am going outwards with an horizontal line, and that's the chest line. So at that midpoint, I'm going inwards with half inch. And before I create my arm curve, I'll need to place a quarter of my bust measurement plus 1 inch for seam allowance. And I'll be connecting the shoulder slope using that half inch I marked at the midpoint, and then I'll make it get to the quarter of the bust circumference, like so. When I'm done with that, I'll go back to the shoulder line. I'll measure 15 inches downwards, that's the under bust measurement, and I'm adding 1 inch for my hem allowance. I'm extending this point, that's my under bust line and the hemming allowance. On my under bust line, I'll place a quarter of the under bust circumference plus 1 inch for seam allowance. And because I'll be doing some gathers there, I need about 2 inches for that gathers. So I'm adding that 2 inches, and then I'll then slant, give it some kind of balance. From the allowance line, I am going upwards with about 1 inch, and then I will connect what I have on the under bust line to the bust measurement. And I'll cut this out. To cut the back panel, I'll fold the fabric into 2, and I'm marking 1 inch for the zipper allowance. I'll connect the dot and bring in the front panel to place on this line that I've created. That line becomes the back center line, and I'm aligning the front center, the center front on that line. So I'll pin this down, and I'll want to make this bodice to be 1 inch higher at the shoulder line. Now, this is what I usually do for my basic bodice, and in case you don't know how to draft a basic bodice block, I'll leave the link in the description box. So I'm making this 1 inch higher at the shoulder line, and at the midpoint of my arm cuff, I'm going outwards with half inch, and I'll use the half inch to connect from the shoulder slope through the half inch to the bust, a quarter of the bust circumference. And then I'll extend it to meet the 1 inch I have made to be higher and cut it out. Now we are done with the back and the front bodies. I want to take out the 2 inches I added for gathers to the front panel. Remember, we're cutting exactly the same thing. We cut exactly the same thing. So I'm taking it out and then connect that point to meet the bust circumference and cut it out. Then I am getting the back half length, okay? At that point, I'll cut out the excess and then go in with 1 inch and create another 1 inch for the new zipper allowance. So now the zipper allowance follows this new slant, okay? That will take care of any kind of bulging at the back. So after getting that line, I am cutting it out and then notch the zipper allowance. For the neckline, the back neckline, I am going downwards with about 2.5 inches, and I'll connect it to meet the neck width. The neck width has to be the same thing as the front panel, and then I'll cut it out. You will need to notch this part to ease your sewing. Okay, so now we are done with the front and the back panel, and I will need to notch the midpoint, the front midpoint, so it will help in my gathering. For the band, I folded the height of about 5 inches, and I folded it again horizontally. Now the horizontal length will be a quarter of the underbust circumference at the top and a quarter of the waist measurement below. So then you connect at the same allowance and cut it out. So then to cut out the back panel, I want to create that 1 inch I need for the zipper allowance, and then I will outline the folded part of the front band on that line as 1 inch, and then I'll cut exactly what I have at the side. Now to start sewing this, I will need to join the midpoint of the back, and then I'll measure the bust circumference both on the front and the back panels and align it and take out the seam allowance. I'll join the shoulder on both sides, and this is what we have. After making the gathers, we need to work on the bands. So now these are how I cut out the bands, and then I'll turn it inside out. Turning it inside out just to make it one piece, I need to sew it all around, okay, to keep it in one spot, and to make it easier for the attachment. After doing that, I will notch the midpoint of the front band. After notching it, I'm going to align it to the midpoint that we have on the upper bodice, and then I will sew it and stop somewhere before the seams. Okay, now this is how I join the upper bodice to the down part. So for the back as well, I'll need to open a little of the zipper allowance and bring in the bands. The zipper allowance has to align with the zipper allowance of the upper bodice, and I will then join the band zipper allowance to the upper bodice. So we are done with that, and then I will need to measure what I have for the waist circumference, so it won't be too tight. Measure it on the front band and the back band, and whatever I have left, I'm dividing it by 4, and then I will know what I am taking out for the same allowance. Now note the way I am sewing out band. Okay, from the stitch I marked exact point on the band, and I'm sewing it out. After sewing it out, whenever you have an allowance, a seam allowance that is more than ½ inch, please try to fold it this way so it will give a balance to your garment. Okay, and then I am taking it back to the machine to just seal up the little hole that we have there. And when I'm done with that, I am loosening the zip allowance so I can install the zipper, and I'll be using this zipper, and I would like to show how I would like to install it. This is how, and I'm done. Cutting out the excess that I have for the zipper at the neckline, I'll pipe that neckline. For the sleeves, I already have a basic sleeve draft, and because it's about 12 inch, I need about 8 inches for the length. So I marked that, and I'm adding 1 inch for hemming allowance. Cutting this out, I'll be using the upper part. So now I folded the fabric into 2 again because I want the two sleeves at the same time. And so I try to get the length of the fabric that I'll be using and where to place the pleat. I'm placing it downwards, okay? I'll pin it down. I'm giving it about 2 pleats. So if you have more fabric, you can make it more. You know, the more you do it, the more ease it gives to the sleeves. So making the second pleat, I'm pinning it down. I'll bring in the sleeve draft again and place it like so, ensuring that everywhere is okay, and then I'll cut it out. After cutting it out, I'll set the draft aside and I'll need to open it for you to see. This is the shape that it has. So you simply need to take it to the machine and pleat it like the way I am making it. Pin it down first of all, and then pleat the second one like so. You do it on the other side and the same thing for the second sleeves. After this, you will simply need to take out your seam allowance for the sleeves, pipe the down part, and then insert your sleeves to the crop top. And when you're done with that, this is what we have. So if this video adds any value to you at all, give me a thumbs up, subscribe and share. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.